Hello and welcome to this second edition of Ambition Africa, the annual Franco-African Business Summit here at the French Finance Ministry. We're talking trade, partnerships and deals as Paris looks to regain its foothold on the African continent. But could competition from China and its past reputation get in the way? Join me as I find out. There was plenty of wheeling and dealing going on at this year's Africa Ambition Forum as business leaders from both France and Africa sought out mutual partnerships. France says these partnerships will benefit the African continent, and the strategy, focused on small businesses, is about substance, not spin, says Christophe Lecourtier, head of Business France.
We believe that now the time has come for a new strategy based on partnership. And partnership means that so many French companies, some of them being large companies, some others being SMEs, as I said, have the right solutions to answer the needs of Africa.
Trade between the two partners stands at 48 billion euros, according to the French Council for Investors in Africa, but trade with China was worth 150 billion euros last year. For businessman Mossadeck Bally, head of Azalai hotels, French investors are still too shy about investing in African markets.
Last year I talked about a French businessman who wanted to sell us some stuff for our hotels, and when I said, yeah, I like your product, why don't you come to Bamako, we have a business discussion. He came back to me and said, well, in my company we have a policy, we cannot go to Bamako because when you go on the French Foreign Ministry website, they say that Bamako is in the red zone. I said, well, fine. I called a Turkish businessman. The next day he flew a Turkish airline. He came to Bamako. We made the deal and he went back.
The French government is stepping in to help companies overcome their fear of investing in Africa, which still faces huge funding gaps. Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire says some private equity will come from institutions like the French Development Bank, but wants the private sector also to chip in. Nigerian businessman Tony Elumelu, the founder of the Elumelu Foundation, who accompanied Le Maire, also underscored the importance of capital for African entrepreneurs, telling investors the time to invest is now.
Africa is blessed with young population, but what we are not so blessed with is the access to capital. So if President Macron is proposing to set up the investment fund for African entrepreneurs, is most welcome, is what we need. We applaud it, we thank him for that, and Africa will remember him.
France has already pledged 2.5 billion euros to fund small businesses through its Choose Africa programme, but it's not enough to close the 300 billion euro gap. Many investment firms are thus rushing in to unlock the potential of Africa's growing entrepreneurs, and Kenya's housing minister, Charles Hinga, says French companies should do so too.
We as a country have got investment-ready opportunities, and we believe that this is the next frontier in terms of the relationships. It is how can we be able to attract private sector capital to complement the amount of work that as government we have put in. We have, in the last 20 odd years, invested about $50 billion into infrastructure. But that infrastructure now needs private sector to come and set up manufacturing plants. We are a bit of a consumptive society. We want to become a productive society. The infrastructure is in place. The legislation is in place. The tax incentives are there. We want smart partnerships to come into Kenya.
Some actors like Ghana's Deputy Trade Minister Robert Ahomka-Lindsay warn against coming to Africa with false stereotypes.
I think sometimes, not just in France, in many countries, Africa still has this very romantic notion of poverty eradication, poverty reduction. I don't know anybody who likes being less poor. I don't even want to look at the word poverty reduction. We want to get rid of it. We want to create wealth and opportunities for young African, young Ghanaian men and women. And to do that, you have to change your mindset. To do that, you have to see Ghana for what the potential is, which is business. Because business is more sustainable. Business doesn't require a whole series of new ventures and new political agreements from that element. It requires a very different set of discussions. And when you have that, we believe that that kind of discussion is more sustainable and beneficial for both France and Ghana.
The Ambition Africa Forum is part of France's efforts to reshape its relations with the African continent. But industry expert Freddy Zanga says this relationship must not avoid taboos such as the controversial CFA franc.
On ne peut pas être totalement indépendant s'il y a une autre structure qui contrôle la monnaie, où est l'indépendance? Et tout le monde le sait, parce qu'à certains moments, on évite de dire certaines choses, mais si nous devons avoir des relations sincères, c'est en discutant sincèrement. Donc l'aspect monétaire est un aspect non négligeable, et si nous voulons avoir des relations gagnantes-gagnantes, c'est des aspects à prendre en compte, à discuter de manière respectueuse pour que tout le monde trouve son compte.
Female entrepreneurs like Aude de Toin argue that women are missing from France's strategy in Africa.
The women is the future of Africa. The future of Africa, and I think here in Ambition Africa, there is not enough women, and it's not normal, because African women has a real role to play for the future.
The Ambition Africa Forum ended with France pledging investment solutions to meet some of Africa's biggest challenges, such as urbanisation and climate change. Yet question marks remain about the sturdiness of France's strategy, hinged on the willingness of private investors to invest. There's no doubt that an injection of cash into small businesses will pump life into the blood of Africa's economy. Whether it will be enough for France to make up for lost time in the race against China is far from certain.